Can you hear me?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Jason.
Sure is nice to see y'all. I want to point out, as you're getting situated, because it's been a rough week when it comes to news about this pandemic that never ends. We're delighted that you're here. We want you to feel comfortable and safe. And one of the things that I want to point out is very much part of the design of this chapel and the way in which we're using it this summer is to set up enough chairs for everybody who has registered to attend and then some. So there's plenty of space here, and that leaves all of the seating on the rim available for those who wish to sit there. If you're looking for a space where you can be not only masked but distanced, everybody's going to make their own choices about what will help you to feel comfortable and safe. But I do want to point out you don't have to be in any way timid about getting up, walking across in the front of the service in order to get yourself to a spot that gives you a little more comfortable real estate. At the end of the day, this is about us being able to create community with one another, and that needs to be done in a way that for each and every member of the community feels safe and comfortable. So masks, no masks, distance, close, you make the choice, but all of those options are available to you here in the beautiful outdoors where it is safer, right, Rabbi Bernie?
It's like Reform Judaism.
Like Reform Judaism. That's good, Rabbi.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, actually, Gary, we just got it.
Mm-hmm.
We just got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just happens naturally. Here can I tell you? Oh, God, my guitar just got it, though. Guitar has it better now. And so, we're going to join together, welcoming each other with the words of the psalmist, Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad, how good, how pleasant it is for us to be together on this gorgeous Shabbat evening. I do want to point out for those who are new to our community, we have some folks who are visiting us, first-timers who are here with us. I want to point out, if you keep your eye on the hillside as we pray, every now and then the deer who live up in the hillside make Shabbat appearances. They're usually having Shabbat dinner with our plantings. Your temple money at work. In any case, they do enjoy the hillside both for bodily nourishment and for its beauty, and you can enjoy the hillside for their beauty. So kind of keep an eye out on them, and also, of course, as the daylight begins to fade over the horizon, it's just a beautiful place for us to experience the arrival of Shabbat, literally as we're praying with one another, joining in song and prayer. And so page 10, top of the page, Hinei ma tov u'manayim, we say how good and how pleasant it is for us to have the gift of each other's presence. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Let's hear you sing it. Tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov u'manayim גם יחד.
Well, I can't help but feel so welcomed and so joyful to be here, obviously with all of you, but also because we have some special people. We're all special, but we have some special people at our service tonight. And so I just want everyone to look in that direction over there because we're going to offer them a special blessing later. But we have some of our graduating high school students, some of our really cherished, thoughtful, loving, amazing students who are here with their families. And it's just so awesome to have you all here. And I'm seeing a past education intern, Hannah Elkin, who's now a rabbi. Rabbi Hannah Elkin. And I'm seeing Jacob Fettergreen and his family, who's going to be called to the Torah tomorrow as a bar mitzvah. And so we're just really filled with a lot of joy in this community. And as we move into Shabbat, I've been thinking a lot about our relationship to time, because in my house, my husband Josh moves very slowly. If you know him, he is very deliberate, and he moves slowly and thoughtfully, and I'm always nudging him just to, hurry up a little bit more. And then there's me, who I'm a tornado, and I'm just moving and constantly going and jumping from one thing to the next. And he lovingly agitates me maybe to just slow down so that he can keep up with the task that I'm talking about, or, trying to match what I'm saying. And so it made me wonder about how we move through the world and how we think about time and our expectation in society about how we relate to time. And that maybe Shabbat and coming to this weekly day of rest is our tradition actually holding up the mirror to say, are you maybe moving a little bit too quickly? Do you want to slow down? Do you want to think more intentionally and thoughtfully about how you're acting and about how you're being? And maybe I need to learn a little bit from my husband to, going slowly is actually a gift, is actually something that I should be looking towards. And so I want to invite us as we move into this gift that is Shabbat, for us to think about what is your relationship to time, and how might Shabbat be an invitation, an agitation to just slow down just a little bit. And so we're going to begin with words on the bottom of page 13, Yismechu Hashemayim. If you're joining us from home, first of all, welcome. We're so glad that you're with us. And you can find it in the online prayer book, leobecktemple.org/live. We're on page 13 at the bottom.
The bottom stanza, Yismechu Hashemayim. Yalalai lai lalai, yalalai lai lalai, yalalai lai yalalai lai yalalai lai lalai, yalalai lai lalai, yalalai lai lalai, yalalai lai yalalai lai yalalai lai. That's all there is to it. Try with me. Yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam u'melo. Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam u'melo. Yalalai lai yalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai 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 lalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai yalai, yalalai 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 lai, yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai yalalai yalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai lalai, yalalai yalalai yalalai. Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam u'melo. Yismechu hashamayim, ותגל הארץ ירם הים ומלוא. You know how it goes, let's hear it. Yalalai, 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 yalalai. Ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la.
Page 20, Lecha Dodi. We welcome our Shabbat bride. We are going to be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Please join with us.
לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבורך, ישמענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת תהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Top of 21. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. If you are able, I invite you to stand and to face the entrance to the outdoor chapel, so that in our soul's eye we can see the arrival of Shabbat the bride and welcome her in love. Boi v'shalom hateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We stay standing on page 28 for our call to worship the Baruch Hu.
Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 lai
We continue standing on the bottom of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And let's join together on the top of 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
I am here, I am now, asking when, asking how. Only I, only thou, only one. Fill my heart, still my soul. I am part of this whole. I will sing out my soul to the one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam, Leolam V'haed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai As Rabbi Bernie mentioned at the beginning of our service, tomorrow morning we are going to be gathered back together as a community to celebrate Shabbat, and important partner in leading that service is going to be Jacob Fettergreen. Jacob has been a very, very patient young man because his bar mitzvah was supposed to be taking place, about a year ago, and there's, this business of pandemic and all, and so many families made this choice so that they could experience what we're all experiencing right now. Loved ones who've come in from near and far who get to be a part of this celebration instead of only experiencing it on Zoom. And so we're really delighted, Jacob, for you, for your entire family, that you're going to have the opportunity to celebrate this simcha together and with our community as well. How perfect for Jacob to participate in tonight's service by leading us in the Ve'ahavta, which he'll lead again tomorrow morning. But Ve'ahavta, a celebration, of course, of the way in which we express our love to God by embracing the commandments. Right there in the Ve'ahavta, V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, we're supposed to teach those mitzvot to our children and to speak of them at all times in our lives. That is what celebrating becoming a bar mitzvah is in fact all about, embracing those mitzvot and paying them forward in teachings by the way in which not only we speak, but the way in which we live. That's what Jacob commits to tomorrow morning. Actually, it's all of Shabbat, and so he's already committing. He'll just have the opportunity to lead the entire service when tomorrow comes. But tonight, we're delighted. We're on page 36, delighted to invite Jacob forward to lead us in Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך וישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי ואתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You can give Jacob like a little, give him a little love. That was awesome,
love
Jacob.
From the congregation.
Well, in the beginning of the service, I talked about the idea of shifting our relationship to time and really embracing an embodied experience of rest. And then we come to the Micha Mocha, which I think perhaps is a call for us to really go deeply into this rest so that we can emerge into the new week ready for the important work that we all have to do. And so I wanted to just share this reading by Jack Reimer. It's entitled, "We Cannot Pray." "We cannot pray to you, O God, to banish war, for you have filled the world with paths to peace, if only we would take them. We cannot pray to you to end starvation, for there is food enough for all, if only we would share it. We cannot merely pray for prejudice to cease, for we might see the good in all that lies before our eyes if we would only use them. We cannot merely pray root out despair, for the spark of hope already waits within our hearts for us to fan it into flame. We must not ask of you, O God, to take the task that you have given us. We cannot shirk, we cannot flee away, avoiding obligation forever. Therefore, we pray, O God, for wisdom and will, for courage to do and to become, not only to look on with helpless yearning as though we had no strength. For your sake and for ours, speedily and soon let it be, that all lands may be safe and that all lives may be blessed. We join together with hopeful words, urgent words of Mi Chamocha. We're on page 40.
Ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam, ya ba ba bim bim bam, ya ba ba bim bam. Ay 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 lay lay lay, ya ba ba bim bam. Ay 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 lay lay lay, ya ba bim bam. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe. זה אלי, אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יא בא בים בם, יא בא בים בם, יא בא בים בם, יא בא בים בם. איי 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 איי, יא בא בים בם. Ay, ay, lay, 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 ya ba ba bim bam.
On the top of 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We ask God to spread over us in this sacred space a sukat shlomecha, a shelter of peace that may keep us, that may keep this whole world a little bit safer. We join together in words of Hashkivenu found on your supplemental page.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom, L'shalom. V'ha'amidenu Malkeinu L'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen. Amen.
The Amidah can be found on page 46, and if you are able, I invite you to please rise.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehillatech Ufi Yagid Tehillatech Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Adonai Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehillatech Ufi Yagid Tehillatech Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevig Gula Livnei V'Neihem L'man Shemo Be'ava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד אתה. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו נשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue praying silently the Amidah through page 62 in the prayer book. You can continue with the words, or you can take some time for your own prayer and be seated whenever you are ready.
Those of you who are regulars around here know that our custom for many years, it's my 19th year at Leobeck Temple, and even before that, our custom at this temple in the summertime was to pray in this very space outdoors. Of course, this year, better than ever, that would be our established custom, because it has enabled us to come back together robustly as a community and to do so much more safely. But we're not only achieving the gift of greater safety from COVID-19 by being out here together, we are communing with all of the wonders of creation in a way that's very hard to pull off when you're indoors. Sometimes we can summon it in our consciousnesses in one way or another, but there's nothing like feeling the cool, crisp evening air on your face, on your shoulders. Looking along at that horizon, which is just glorious right now. If you're seated in a place where you can see the mixture of red and blue as the sun is disappearing over the mountains that frame our worship space. This was always a part of what it was to engage in Jewish prayer. One of the Hasidic masters, Reb Nachman, taught that we're supposed to engage in some beautiful solitude in places just like this. And even if you're together with a large group of people, you can still experience that solitude, that sense of oneness with all that surrounds us. And that includes the other souls. The other human beings filling this space are also wonders of creation, each and every one of you. And so, I invite you to engage in a little hitbodedut, a little spiritual exploration of what it is to be beautifully alone, not in a lonely sort of way, but in a conscious sort of way, enmeshed in the wonder of creation. You are the one, for this I pray, that I may have the strength to be alone, to see the world, to stand among the trees and all the living things, that I may stand alone and offer prayers and talk to you. You are the one to whom I do belong. And I'll sing my soul, I'll sing my soul to you. And give you all that's in my heart. May all the foliage of the fields, all grasses, trees, and plants awaken at my coming, this I pray, and send their life into my words of prayer, so that my speech, my thoughts, and my prayers will be made whole, and through the spirit of all growing things. And we know that everything is one, because we know that everything is you. You are the one, for this I pray. I ask you, God, to hear my words that pour out from my heart. I stand before you, I, like water, lift my hands to you in prayer, and grant me strength, and grant me strength to stand alone. You are the one to whom I do belong, and I'll sing my soul, I'll sing my soul to you. And give you all that's in my heart. You are the one, for this I pray, and I'll sing my soul to you.
There is a Hasidic teaching that every single one of us has access to the revelation of God in every moment, and that this wisdom doesn't run according to general principles, but that there's something else that we have to access, that there's an inner wisdom or an inner knowing. And this is really how I see the high school graduating class of 2021 operating in the world. Because throughout their many years at the temple, they have been dedicated to this community and to one another. But what I have always appreciated most about your cohort in particular is their courage and willingness to be themselves, their whole, vulnerable, powerful, brave selves, and to tap into that reservoir of inner knowing. And I don't have to tell them. I don't have to tell Sienna and Rachel and Avery and Bailey and Brett and Vanessa, who's joining us from the East Coast. We're all waving to you, Vanessa. And to Ethan and to Avi. I don't have to tell you all about the challenges of navigating high school. But I will say how I have marveled at how you have drawn strength from yourselves, from that sense of inner knowing, and also from your genuine and deep relationships with one another. And I will say Rabbi Chasen and I and our whole clergy team and staff have really been honored and humbled to learn with you and to experience your joy and your wisdom. And this is whether we are traveling to Israel. This group all went to Israel, and we're constantly singing and to a very, very loud boombox. I think it was even a boombox, right? I know, I sound old, but it was an actual boombox.
An actual boombox?
I want to say it was really a boombox.
You guys are like rocking the retro.
Maybe it was an iPhone, but in my mind, it's a boombox. That was quite loud and constant.
They're like, what's a boombox, Rabbi Bernie?
I know. I know. When we were on the bus in Israel, or whether we were traveling to DC and they were advocating to their representatives, even they continued to do so on the plane with one of the passengers sitting next to them. Or just sharing their lives with one another on Sunday afternoons. And so we just want to thank you for your willingness to let us be a part of your lives and to let us be on this journey with all of you. And so before we call you up in a moment to give you some gifts and for Rabbi Chasen and our community to bless you in this moment, I wanted to just offer 3 little kernels about college. I wasn't in college that long ago, but I know things have changed. But here's just 3 little nuggets.
Ooh.
We'll see if they're still relatable. I know. So the first is just that it takes time. And not to stress that if you don't find your people right away, or if you don't find your major right away, or if it just isn't feeling just perfect right away, that's okay. And that everyone talks about how college is supposed to be amazing and that your freshman floor and your freshman year is supposed to be miraculous. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's just okay. Sometimes it's awesome, but that it might just take a little time. And so to be patient with yourselves and also to be honest with the people that love you, that if you are having a hard time, you don't have to be alone and you don't have to pretend that it's awesome, but to share it with us, to share and tell somebody. And that if it's awesome, we also want to hear that. And we also want you to share that with us. The second is to worry a little bit less about the what and more about the how. And your parents may not love me for this one, but to take classes that sound interesting, classes that introduce you to a new subject or a different way of thinking, classes that inspire you even if they're not practical, and to not worry so much about what you're supposed to do when you get out of college and spend more time thinking about who you want to be and how college can for sure be about gaining knowledge and about gaining skills. But more important, it's about really developing and uncovering that inner wisdom that our Hasidic teachers teach us about. And finally, I would say the most important advice is that we are always here. And by we, I mean we at Leo Beck Temple, us, your family, your home. This is still your home. Just because you're graduating doesn't mean that we're not still here for you. If you're having a hard time and really struggling and you don't know who to talk to, you should call us or text us or snap us. I know.
Snap her. I don't have one.
Actually, they were the ones who taught me how to snap. So, there you go. And that if you're just in a situation...
Exactly. Snapping. This is great.
Snap us. And that if you're in a situation and you don't know how to handle it, really, you should call us. And that when you're home, that we want to see you, please come and visit us. And you can still join us on Friday nights in our new worlds. We do Shabbat table blessings every Friday night at 6 o'clock on Zoom. And if you're just in need of a little bit of anchoring, that you can just sign on for 10 or 15 minutes and we get to see your faces and you get to see our faces. And it's just, again, that feeling that there are people who love you and know you and see you just as you are, just as those brave and powerful and vulnerable, amazing, amazing selves. And so we are just so honored and excited that you're here and that we as a community get to bless you. So I'm going to call you up by name. You get to get a little gift over here, wrapped in the same wrapping paper from your B'nai Mitzvah, and different gift. And then Rabbi Chasen in our community is going to offer you a special blessing. So first, I want to invite up Brett Abrams, Bailey Greenberg, Avery Bielski, Rachel Wilkes, Sienna Fishstein, and again, we're thinking of Vanessa Chermak and Avi Strack and Ethan Dale, who are not able to be here with us tonight.
Rabbi Bernie's going to give you that gift, but then once you get that gift, I want you guys to filter in here right to the center so we get a chance to see all of you front and center, that are folks who are joining us on screen also have the opportunity to know all the way in, like in front of the ark. Yeah. There you go. Looking good. It is hard for some of us old people to believe that it is time for you all to embark upon this amazing new chapter in your lives. After all, you have been a part of this temple community for most of your lives. And some of you have been a part of this temple community literally for all of your lives. We watched you learn your numbers. We watched you learn the alphabet and then the alphabet on your way to teaching us Torah as B'nai Mitzvah, each of you. We watched you laugh. We watched you cry. Boundaries, just as you were supposed to do, even though it wasn't always so much fun for us. And most of all, we watched with wonderment and with pride and with love as you became the young adult versions of yourselves, of the children that we so loved being blessed with the gift of helping just a little bit to raise. That was the gift that your parents gave to us. Graduating from high school and heading off to college is most definitely a life cycle moment for you, but it is also one for your parents. That I can tell you from firsthand experience, which is why I want to ask all of these students' parents, mothers and fathers of these students, if you would be so kind as to stand in your place so that you can be a special part of this moment too. Life cycle moment for all of you as these guys make this transition to their college years. Some of you, parents and kids, have heard me say before that I'm not a big believer in happy tears or in sad tears, that I believe that we cry when we are feeling so much, that so deeply, that it's literally too much for the heart to hold. Our emotional cup runneth over. Well, that is what your entrance into this next chapter of your lives is for your parents. It is everything that they wanted for you. It is everything that they gave their last drop of energy and patience and love to help steer you to. And it is everything that a tiny part of them has dreaded, because your lives are such an enormous part of theirs. The cup overflows, to be sure. But nobody carries a deeper pride in who you are and how you got there than your parents do. And so, parents, we are delighted, us tonight, to be encircling all of you once again, one more time, as we join with you in creating the village that you wanted your children to grow in, that you chose your children to grow in. That has been our great pride for so many years and will be for so many more years to come. And so tonight we are thrilled to join with you in bringing blessing to your children, our graduates. The Amidah, the section of the service that we just prayed together a few moments ago, is a little bit different during the weekday than it is on Shabbat. There are a number of additional blessings that are added during the weekday Shabbat. And this is a great time to turn to that little half page that you received along with, you got your prayer book, you got the supplemental page, and you got the half page. So just have that handy, all of you out there. You guys don't, you're going to be listening. You're in receive mode today. But these guys should have it handy. Parents get to play too. So at the top of that page is a Hebrew sentence that comes from the first additional blessing that appears in the Amidah when it's during the week. The weekdays, right? When our lives are supposed to be moving and changing and creating and growing. That's when we have these extra prayers included. And the first one of all of them is a prayer for learning. Ata chonen la'adam da'at, we say. You, O God, have graced us humans with the capacity to acquire knowledge. Umelamed le'enosh binah. And that gift is what leads us to understanding, wisdom. Tonight we are so grateful to the source of all being for having seen you grow with the grace of knowledge and having watched you assimilate that knowledge into understanding again and again and again over the years. That is how we know that you are ready for this next giant step in your lives, one which I know on one level you are totally convinced you're ready for, and on another level, a little bit dreading, petrified as well. That comes with the territory too. That's why that advice, Rabbi Bershi did go to college recently enough to remember all that. That was seriously impressive. That's good advice. That is how we know that you're ready for this big step, which is going to bring you still more knowledge and even greater understanding. This is how God made you. And we cannot wait to see what all that knowledge and all that understanding that these next years are going to produce for you, what that's going to tease out of you, who you will become from it. The learning that you'll do in class, yes, but also the learning that you're going to do everywhere outside of class. You're adulting as you begin to build lives of your own. It is the adventure of a lifetime, of your lifetime. And we want to send you off to it with our love and with our blessings and with our absolute and total belief in you, which we have deep in our hearts. And so as you look at your parents, surrounded by this community, which has been so fortunate to be a part of your lives, and for us to have our part in your lives, we will all join in speaking words of blessing to you at this amazing time of accomplishment and anticipation, all those feelings that make the heart too full to hold. The blessing is here on this half page, and I want to invite everybody to join along with our parents and with our rabbis in bringing blessing to our graduates. Please join with me. By God's grace, we have the power to grow in knowledge and understanding. May you be blessed with those gifts as you embark upon this new and exciting adventure of learning. May you discover in yourselves the wisdom to hold all truth sacred, whether it comes from the Torah and its interpreters of old, the scholars and writers of our own age, or the reservoir of independent life experience that will soon be yours. May you see beyond the surface of things, to understand that their beauty is but a reflection of God's wondrous creative power at work in you and in all the universe. May your hearts and minds be discerning, and that you may recognize what is good and reject what is false, harmful, or divisive, and dedicate yourselves to using your learning for righteous purpose as a partner in the ongoing work of creation. Wherever you go and whatever you do, may you be true learners among our people Israel, faithful to justice and truth, eager for knowledge and insight. And may the Torah that will soon be yours in all the places and experiences where Torah is found be sweet as honey on your lips. Amen. Baruch atah bivoecha, Baruch atah b'tzeitecha. May you be blessed as you come and as you go from here. Wherever you go, wherever you are blessing. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Mazal tov and good luck, and stay in touch or else. Shabbat shalom, guys.
Well, in this week's Torah portion, Ekev, Moses continues his lengthy address to the Israelites, a speech that comprises the entire book of Deuteronomy. After years of wandering, the Israelites are on the precipice of entering the promised land as Moses rehashes their experience in the desert, packing in every life lesson and warning that he can before they leave the nest for the land of milk and honey without him. And I can't help but associate Moses's extensive speech with my mom's epic monologue during our drive from Miami to St. Louis to bring my car to college a little over 15 years ago. Because like the Israelites on the banks of the Jordan, I sat next to my mom with nowhere to go for 3 days while she rehashed my 18 years at home and all of the life lessons and warnings that she hoped I would take with me on my journey to the promised land of the Midwest. In this week's portion, of Moses's farewell speech, he identifies 5 main principles for the people to follow so that they will thrive in this new land: to revere, to walk, to love, to serve, and to keep. And this leads Moses to offer one of my favorite, albeit a little gruesome, lines of Torah, which articulates how we might revere, walk, love, keep, and serve in our lives. He says, "Cut away, therefore, the thickening about your hearts." Or more literally, circumcise the foreskin of your heart. Ancient and modern rabbis alike, as you can imagine, have explored what this dramatic command might imply. I know, it's interesting. On one level, Rashi, he's a medieval commentator, he understands it as a command to remove the closure and the cover on our hearts that prevent God's words from entering. And then for Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi in the Talmud, the thickening about the heart is the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. That voice inside us that insidiously and cleverly pushes us to act from our lower selves, from our judgmental, narrow, jealous, not enough selves, leading us to make choices that are not always aligned with who we want or who we need to be. However, while many of our sages understand the heart as the source of emotion, our biblical ancestors saw the heart actually as the organ of comprehension. Therefore, an uncircumcised heart can be understood also as a closed mind. And Rabbi Sheldon Blank explains this interpretation through a parable about a farmer who doesn't plant an untilled land that weeds have taken over, because in order to make the soil productive, he first must plow the land and rid it of the weeds. So it is with human beings, he says, that the human mind must be cleared of noxious growth and made receptive, and that only then can ideas strike root and grow. So according to this understanding, the uncircumcised heart is this closed, this unreceptive mind. And then finally, for the prophet Jeremiah, who will employ this image later in the Bible to critique the callousness of the Israelites towards the poor, for him, an uncircumcised heart refers to moral insensitivity and the ways in which we turn away from the people around us who are in need. So not to get even a little more gruesome, and I'm not a moil, and I'm definitely not a urologist, but let's consider for a moment male circumcision, which consists of cutting away the foreskin and exposing the vulnerable glands. And so when we cut away this covering, this shield around our hearts, we're exposing our hearts, along with its infinite ability to think and to see in new ways, yes, but also to love, not in a guarded or in a contained way, but in an expansive and generative and limitless way. The Buddhist teacher Roshi Joan Halifax illustrates this way of being by introducing us to the notion of a strong back and a soft front. She writes, "All too often our so-called strength comes from fear, not love. Instead of having a strong back, many of us have a defended front shielding a weak spine. In other words, we walk around brittle and defensive, trying to conceal our lack of confidence. If we strengthen our backs, metaphorically speaking, and develop a spine that's flexible but sturdy, then we can risk having a front that is soft and open. How can we give and accept care with strong back, soft heart, front, compassion, moving past fear to a place of genuine tenderness? I believe it comes when we can be truly transparent, seeing the world clearly and letting the world see. A circumcised heart, then, doesn't mean a boundaryless heart, but rather a boundless heart. It isn't a stance on life in which we say yes to everything and to everyone, but rather a heart that is in conversation with our spine on a bodily and a metaphorical level, because it means that we're grounded enough from our backs to possess the courage to lead from our fronts, from our hearts. And we witnessed this kind of strength and courage this past week when gymnastics legend Simone Biles announced that she was withdrawing from the Olympic women's gymnastics team final. While I will not pretend to understand what she was experiencing inside, her willingness to listen to her own mental and physical needs, her strong back, and her openness to share her struggle, her soft front, offered us a surprisingly countercultural way of moving through the world, certainly in the athletic world, but also in our world as well. I've been lucky to experience a snapshot of this kind of relating every Sunday night in our own teen program. Because each week, our 8th through 12th graders begin class with check-ins, going around the circle and sharing what is happening in their lives. Not the curated social media version, but the honest and the messy and the sometimes even painful one. They share their real lived experience of joy and of learning, but also of loneliness and of struggle. And in so doing, they invite the others in the circle to really see them and simultaneously inspire the others in the circle to be willing to share a piece of themselves as well. A strong back, soft front approach doesn't ask us to share our deepest secrets freely with any passerby. Of course, we want to make sure that the listener is worthy of our truths. But perhaps it means telling someone how you're doing when they ask. And then when you're on the other end, actually listen with an open heart. Perhaps it means cultivating relationships with friends, with colleagues who can hold one another's truths without needing to judge them or to fix them. It means getting to know and listening to that inner voice inside us that is rooted in our true yearnings and relinquishing the armor that seemingly protects us by embracing the mirror that more clearly reveals us. For whether the heart is the source of our intellect or our emotions or a seamless integration of the two, the uncircumcised heart can represent a path for seeing others with tenderness, openness, compassion, and for allowing others to see us as part of a holy, broken web of connection that ties all of us together. And so on this Shabbat, may we straighten our backs and soften our fronts, excising all of the stuff that obstructs our hearts so that we can greet the new promised land that awaits us wherever it may be. Shabbat Shalom.
We have an opportunity to put Rabbi Bernie's teaching immediately to good purpose. Our custom, while we're engaging in words of study of Torah, is to pause for a moment to allow our hearts to be vulnerable enough to create space for those who are struggling with illness, with brokenness, with despair, disillusionment, as we gather together on this Shabbat filled with joy, blessing, simcha for so many. It's an important opportunity for us to gather that gift and bring it to those who need it most in our families, in our circles of friends, in community as well. And so we're going to join together in a moment in our prayer for healing, the Mishaberach, which can be found in the middle of page 253 in the prayer book. Before we do so, I want to invite anyone who would wish to speak aloud the name of someone in your personal circle who you would like to include in our collective prayer for healing on this Shabbat. If you're able to stand at this time, I'm just going to make eye contact with you, and you can speak those names aloud to our congregation. I'll invite you at home as well if you wish to speak a name. This is an opportunity to do so. For all of them, for all of us, for a world deeply in need of healing, especially at this time, we join together in the words of Misha Berach, Prayer for Healing, middle of page 253. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nishe Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Aleinu is on page 282, and if you're able, we invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לבני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. some words to help us prepare for the recitation of Kaddish, words found on page 292. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust in the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction, he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence, and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. And thus, even when they're gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wished to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer this evening, we remember especially Susan Barron Franklin, Don Bowers, Casper Kasparian Sr., Thelma Riva Cohen, Dorothy Corwin, Lillian Davidson, Julius Davidson, Arnold Desser, Helen Desser, David Frumkin, Robert Gee, Francis Gilbert, Ira Goldenring, Mary First Goldman, Rose Levin, Richard Littman, Eileen Marlin, Mildred Morris, Oscar Bud Moser, Mary Niemer, Edith Newman, Robert Rausch, Carolyn Schulzinger, Herbert Silverman, George Sisson, Marty Sklar, Paul Smiler, Esther Smith, Marvin Smith, Adam Carl Weil, Carl Weil. Are there other names we should include? If so, please speak them aloud. We think of them all along with all those who we name in our hearts. Also those who have perished from COVID-19, millions now, all over the world. And all the innocent victims of violence who have lost their lives in a world that we must shepherd to peace. We say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the memory of the righteous is an everlasting blessing, as together we give thanks for the blessing of life with the words of Mourner's Kaddish found on page 294. Itgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayichon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olamei almaya, Yibarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, u'yaseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the giver of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, and let us together say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Oseh shalom b'imromav, u'yaseh hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down. Shabbat Shalom.